Hello everyone, and welcome to Art on the Farm. I'm Mia Sage, and we are so grateful that the Monroe Area Council for the Arts allowed us to be together today. So let's get started with Art on the Farm with Mia Sage and Jan. Today you are going to be needing a paper plate and air dry clay in red, yellow, and blue. And we're going to be exploring color theory, which is basically just a fancy way to say that we're going to be exploring colors and studying colors. So let's get started. You're going to want to take your red, yellow, and blue out of the packages. Currently, at the time of this video, that I know of, the best brands for a foamy air dry clay are going to be Crayola or Play-Doh. Crayola is the Model Magic. Just regular Crayola air dry clay, I have found, tends to crumble with a little bit of time. So the Model Magic tends to stay together better for longer, in my experience. And then the Play-Doh air dry clay, which is newer on the market that I have seen, but a lot of my students, both kid and adult, really like the fluffiness of the Play-Doh air dry clay. There are a lot of other brands out there. Get what you can, but those are the two that my students have told me they like the very, very best. You should have your packages open, the red, yellow, and blue. Red, yellow, and blue are the three colors that all the other colors on your color wheel are going to stem from or come from. This is why we call red, yellow, and blue primary colors. They are the primary colors. They are the first colors that all the other colors are going to be coming from in some variation or another. Red, yellow, and blue. We're going to be treating our plate, paper plate, as if it were our color wheel. And we're going to be just pinching off some and making our own air dry clay color wheel. Grab a little bit of yellow. Again, not much. Make a nice ball with it. And place it on one spot on your plate, like a little coin. Do the same thing with your blue and with your red. Making a ball, setting it down on my plate, squishing it like a thick coin. What you're going to learn with working with this air dry clay is that you don't ever want any piece to be thin. You don't ever want a piece to be thin because this type of material is not super durable. And a thin piece is just going to come apart or break later. And break your heart, I'll tell you. Okay. I'm going to push the red ball down. Most of the time, the way they formulate these, it's not going to be sticking to the plate. It should be very movable. Okay. And go on and take it, make a triangle with those. See, very movable. If you do end up losing some on the floor, make sure you didn't get any dust or dirt or anything like that sticking to it. Okay? Alright, let's move forward. We have our three primary colors. Red and blue. Red and blue, when mixed together, make violet or purple. Red and blue mixed together make violet or purple. So we're going to mix to make violet. Many of my students call it purple. Now, when we do this with our air dry clay or we mix it with paint, I'm going to tell you that blue seems to dominate the red quite a bit. So in getting your red, when you grab some blue, start out by getting quite a bit less of your blue than your red. See, my red's really thick. My blue's not. He's very thin. Start out with much less of your blue than your red, because the blue tends to dominate. It tends to overpower that red if we're not careful. Something that is very pleasant to me is to see the colors mixed together. I love to do that, see the swirl. Take your time mixing that. Now, oftentimes, my students will tell me that when they're mixing with clay or paint, that it doesn't become quite as true to color as they would like. Oftentimes, when you are doing that for a project, mixing red and blue, if it turns out to where your purple or your violet is not quite the shade that you thought, if you will add just a very, very small amount of white, it will turn out to be much closer to the color that you envisioned often. Much, much closer to the color that you envisioned often. And I cannot tell you the reasons for that, but I have found that when I'm having to mix it personally, I often have to lighten it up with just a little bit of white. So if that's something that happens to you while you're mixing with paints and you're doing a project and you have to mix them together, if your purple is just a little too much, add just a dab of white. A lot of times that's going to fix it. With this, we didn't need to, because we were very careful to start with, that we mixed just a little bit of the blue, a little bit more of red to the blue for our ratio for today. Now, purple is called a secondary color. It is created second from the primary first colors. So purple is a secondary color. We have our red and our blue. Between them we have purple. Let's look over here with our yellow and our blue. Yellow and blue come together to make green. Knowing that my blue tends to dominate when I'm doing a project like this, I'm going to have a little more yellow than blue. I can always add a little bit more blue, but you just can't hardly take it out once you've mixed it. So a little bit of blue, look at my thin blue compared to my little chunk of yellow. And then I'm going to mix that and enjoy watching those colors mix together to form a new color. Boy, I'm glad that I didn't add any more blue. It would have made my green so much darker than what I envisioned. So much darker than what I wanted. I'm so glad that I was careful about my blue. Okay. I hope that you were careful about that too. Now we have our flattened ball of green, just like a coin, and we have placed it correctly for our air dry clay color wheel. Between the blue and the yellow, the two primary colors have formed the secondary color, green. One more to go for our air dry clay color wheel today. We have red and yellow. Red and yellow make orange. I'm going to take my red. Ooh, how nice. I'm going to pull off some yellow. And I'm going to mix those together. What nice colors. Good full orange. All right. Form that into my ball. I'm going to put my orange between my red and my yellow. My secondary color, orange, is now between my two primary colors, red and yellow. So now as we come to a close, remember our three primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. They make three secondary colors, orange, purple or violet, and green. Now whenever you go to get packs of colors in paint or packs of air dry clay, you are not going to be limited just by the colors in the package. Now you know how to mix your colors in order to create some wonderful secondary colors for any project that you are working on. Thank you so much for joining us today for Art from the Farm. And thank you so much to the Monroe Area Council for the Arts for making this possible for us. See you next time.